Long ago, in the quiet village of Umuoko, there was a saying that no one ever forgot. Two suns cannot shine in one sky. The elders claimed it came from an ancient prophecy, one that warned that if twin children were born under a crimson moon, one would bring fortune to the land and the other ruin. So when Neka, the wife of the respected Ozo Namdi, gave birth to twin boys one stormy night, fear swept through the compound like wildfire. Outside, the sky was a deep blood red. The wind howled, and the midwife trembled as she held the two crying babies. "Twins," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Born under the crimson moon." Namdi's mother gasped, her eyes wide with terror. "The prophecy! It has come again!" Panic filled the room. In those days, twin births were still considered a strange omen in Umuoko. But this one was far worse. The timing matched every line of the ancient warning. One child would rise to greatness, while the other would bring nothing but destruction. Neka, exhausted but defiant, clutched her sons tightly. "They are innocent," she cried. "They are mine." The village priest was summoned, a frail old man with white chalk streaked across his forehead. He stared into the flickering flames of his ritual pot for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he spoke, his voice soft but heavy with dread. "If they stay together, one will destroy the other. You must separate them. Tonight." Tears streamed down Neka's face. "How can I divide my own heart?" she pleaded. "It is the only way to save them," the priest insisted. Before the sun rose, they made their heartbreaking decision. The firstborn, whom they named Obina, was kept with his parents in Umuoko. The second, Chibuike, was secretly taken across the river to the neighboring village of Umueze to be raised by Namdi's childless cousin. No one in Umuoko ever spoke of the second twin again. Years passed. In Umuoko, Obina grew strong, clever, and beloved by everyone. He was bold like his father and had a natural charm that drew people to him. He was the pride of the village, the sun that shone brightly on everyone. Meanwhile, in the quiet village of Umueze, Chibuike grew up humble but with a mind as sharp as a blade. He had a strange intuition that often unsettled those around him. He could sense when rain would fall or when a visitor was approaching long before they appeared. He was a quiet, mysterious boy, often lost in his own thoughts. Though they lived worlds apart and didn't know the other existed, their lives mirrored one another in uncanny ways. Both boys had a deep love for music. Both had a small, identical scar on their left wrist, a mark from birth. And both, without knowing why, felt a profound emptiness deep in their hearts, a feeling that a piece of them was missing. One day, fate began to weave its intricate threads. Obina's father, Ozo Namdi, fell gravely ill. The village priest declared that the gods demanded a sacred masquerade festival to restore balance to the land and heal him. The finest drummers from all the nearby villages were invited to perform. And that was how Chibuike, now a skilled and renowned drummer, came to Umuoko for the very first time. The moment Obina and Chibuike locked eyes at the festival, the bustling crowd fell silent. It was like looking into a mirror. Gasps rippled through the air as people stared in disbelief. "Who is that boy?" they whispered. "He looks exactly like Obina." Even the old priest's hands trembled as he watched them. "It cannot be," he murmured, his voice filled with a new kind of fear. The twins stared at each other, confused yet drawn together by an invisible, powerful force. When they finally spoke, it was as if their souls had known each other for a lifetime. "What is your name?" Obina asked, his voice filled with wonder. "Chibuike," the other replied, his gaze unwavering. "And yours?" "Obina." The priest stepped forward, his face pale with alarm. "It has begun again. The two suns have met." That very night, strange things began to happen. The wind turned fierce, and thunder rolled across the sky without a single drop of rain. In the forest nearby, the ancient statue in the sacred grove cracked right down the middle. The elders gathered in a panic, their faces etched with terror. "The prophecy is awakening," one of them cried. But Neka, who had carried her secret like a heavy stone for 18 long years, could no longer stay silent. She fell to her knees before the council and confessed everything. "They are my sons, both of them," she sobbed. "I separated them to save them, just as I was told." The elders were stunned into silence, but the priest's voice was grim. "If they remain in the same land, one will perish before the next full moon. he warned, but the twins refused to be parted again. They had found the missing piece of their hearts. "We've lived apart our whole lives," Chibuike said firmly, standing shoulder to shoulder with his brother. "If the gods wish to test us, then let them." The days turned into weeks, and the entire village held its breath, waiting for disaster to strike. Obina and Chibuike became inseparable, working together to prepare for the festival. But while Obina's presence brought laughter and joy, Chibuike's brought a strange silence. Odd coincidences seemed to follow him. Crops in the fields bloomed too quickly, then withered. Animals grew restless, and the moon sometimes appeared blood red, even when the sky was clear. Then, one evening, Obina fell seriously ill, shivering uncontrollably with a raging fever. The village healer tried every remedy, every herb, but nothing worked. Chibuike stayed by his side day and night, refusing to leave him. As the crimson moon rose once again, exactly as it had on the night of their birth, Obina's body went terrifyingly still. "Obina!" Chibuike cried, shaking him desperately. In that very moment, the same intense fever gripped Chibuike, as if their souls were bound together. He screamed in agony and collapsed beside his brother. The villagers rushed in, their voices a clamor of prayers and shouts, lighting lamps against the encroaching darkness. Then suddenly, both boys took a deep, shuddering breath at the exact same time and opened their eyes. A strange, profound calm filled the room. The howling wind outside died down. The priest, standing by the doorway, whispered in awe, "The gods have chosen mercy." After that night, Obina's sickness vanished completely. The twins, once a symbol of a dreaded curse, became known as the two suns that rose together. The prophecy that once divided the village was transformed into a story of hope and resilience. But destiny had one final twist in store. A year later, a great drought struck the land, and the rivers began to dry up. It was Chibuike, the quiet, intuitive twin, who dreamt of a hidden spring buried deep beneath the sacred grove. He led the villagers to the spot, and they dug until fresh, cool water burst forth, saving everyone from starvation. From that day forward, the people of Umuoko had a new saying. The gods did not mean destruction, they meant balance. One twin brings fortune, and the other reveals truth. The twins grew up to lead their villages together, proving that even the darkest prophecy can be rewritten when love refuses to bow to fear. And in Umuoko, where people once whispered about curses and omens, parents began to name their sons Obina and Chibuike, symbols of a powerful unity born from separation. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another tale. We'll see you in the next video.